looking good, Italian Job.
I'm feeling good, Tommy boy. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. It's been an awesome week. A couple service projects here in Greensboro came to fruition. Successful passing of the Nantan torch from one beloved friend, Michael Ambler, sacked, to another beloved friend, Council Glenn, Akron. We had a big week, a lot of success, a lot of momentum here in Greensboro. It's beautiful outside right now. I don't know where everybody's listening from, but I do know that here in Greensboro, it is 65 degrees. Couldn't be better. It's 53 this morning in the gloom, and that to me is perfect. How the heck are you, brother?
Man, the fact that the seasons are finally changing. I mean, it's 64 here in Fort Mill. Tomorrow morning on my queue, it's going to be 47 degrees, which I'm pretty stoked about. The seasons have finally shifted, which means I don't mind being outside in the middle of the afternoon when I can get a break because I won't sweat my face off. So that's always positive. We've been getting a lot of great feedback from people who've been listening. So, Tommy boy, I didn't realize that we had listeners other than, like your mom and, my wife's friends, on occasion people listen. So shocked. And I think we should say thank you to the tens of listeners that we have out there. And apparently those tens are adding up to like 5,000. So thank you everybody for listening. It's an honor and privilege.
Who knew my mom's bridge club had such a reach? But this is pretty exciting. In all seriousness, fellas, we love this. We wouldn't be doing it without the ears, but also the action. You guys have sent in a lot of great ideas. Keep them coming. We know things are happening all across the country and now all across the nation and beyond. 6 countries. Is my math correct now? Coming on board.
Let's think about it. You've got Canada, you've got the United States, you've got Peru, and I'm going off the top of my head, so I may miss a few here. You have Germany, now 2 places in Germany. You also have
UK,
South Korea, UK. There's rumors that Hong Kong is springing up. We also have the guys down in Australia, some guys in New Zealand. So, and then we have the continent of Africa, where we have Kenya, 2 locations in Kenya. We have Morocco. I mean, gosh, we're at least 8, 9. I don't math well. But we got a lot of guys worldwide. We've got 65 plus thousand guys worldwide.
We're kicking down the door of double digits in countries. And to quote the changing the guard back in Greensboro here, there's thousands of guys in Greensboro. There's millions of guys across the world that need F3. Let's go find them. Great segue. Let me hop on my segue and scoot us right into our topic today. You mentioned Kenya. Something bubbled up on the Twitter sphere and social medias a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of eyeballs saw it. A specific set of eyeballs, our guest today, saw it and was moved to action. And so I want to dive into this opportunity of find the need, fill a need, and what that could look like, not just in our own backyard, but literally across the ocean. So that being said, our guest this week is Poppins out of F3, The Fort. Poppins, welcome to Stuff Worth Trying. Let's dive into it with a name-orama. Who brought you out, and how'd you get your F3 name?
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me on. It's quite an honor. I started at F3 just almost 2 years ago. So we moved down here to South Carolina from just outside of Chicago, Illinois, about 2 years ago. And we loved the area, of course, and I knew there was a lot of outdoor things to do, which I really was getting excited about. But I hadn't really made any connections as far as friends or anything like that. And I left friends behind, and I lived there for quite a while. So that was tough for me. It was kind of a strange adjustment, because I just had kind of gotten used to what I didn't realize is I enjoyed seeing people I know, just being out and, at the store here and there. And I just I'm a people person. I like to talk. And my wife would tell you that, it's hard to go anywhere without me finding somebody I know or whatever, striking up a conversation and that kind of thing. So we moved out here and we knew we had to get plugged in. And my wife, she did a really good job of that right away. She had joined like a Facebook group, and kind of got out there right away and started meeting people and making friends. And I was just kind of waiting for that kind of opportunity to come. You know, it wasn't really in the neighborhood. We checked out a couple churches, and just really wasn't happening. But she had met a lady in one of these events that she went to, and the lady, this woman, had told my wife that her husband does this thing called F3, and started telling her about it. And my wife was like, "Oh, well, this is something my husband's, totally gonna like, totally gonna get into, because, she knows I'm into the fitness, and, faith is important to me as well." So she was like, "This is right up your alley." So she gave me the guy's number. I texted him. His name is Refugee, and he's a cotter. Okay, so he doesn't even post really. I only worked out with him maybe twice, and the first time I texted him, he's like, "Yeah, come on out. We're working out at this high school, 5 a.m. Don't be late." And it turned out to be honey badger, and in our region, it's an hour long workout, and it's like, it's supposed to be tough, right? So we do this like hero workout, and I'm just like, holy cow, this is intense, But I went back, I was like, this is cool. Everybody was super welcoming and everything like that. So I basically got EH'd by a guy's wife. It's kind of the story I tell. But then, the name, basically, I'm in the chimney business. I got a job down here. I work for a chimney company, and we do, all kinds of different things like that. But, names started popping up, and like somebody said, like, oh, Dick Van Dyke or something. They were going with that whole chimney sweep theme. And then someone says Mary Poppins, and then somebody's like, just like Poppins. And it was just like over, done. So that's how I got the name Poppins. And actually I don't tell anybody. I like it.
the tens of listeners will tune in and say,
don't
all
tell
right,
the 10 people.
Poppins
Yeah.
Poppins likes his name.
Why is Poppins trending on Twitter right now?
Yeah.
Well, listen, as I mentioned on the jump, something popped up on social media. There's a guy out of Kenya, F3 Safari, who's been making waves, making a lot of great contacts. I know he and I are connected more on Facebook, ironically, which I think is great, because I hate Facebook, and this is a reason not to hate Facebook. In fact, it's a reason I love it, because I love seeing what they're doing. He kind of made an aside comment of, you can see in this picture, I'm the only one wearing shoes in F3 Kenya. It'd be great if we can get a hold of anything anybody has. And candidly, I saw that and thought, yeah, that would be great, man. What a great opportunity. And then went to the next thing, right? Shame on me. And what I should have done is what you did, which is you were moved to action. So kind of walk us through what the problem is that you're solving. I know I spoiled the lead a little bit, but what lit up inside of your heart that moved you to action?
Of course, I'm on Facebook there, and I'm seeing these posts, and I'm just seeing these guys are just like fired up, man. And like, it's encouraging to see, it really is, to see what's going on over there. And I think it's kind of cool. Side note, I talked to Phil a little bit, and he doesn't have Slack, it doesn't work on his phone. So that's why he's so prolific on Facebook. So we get to kind of see basically what we're posting kind of in our Slack channels, they're kind of using Facebook for, which is awesome. So, we're seeing all these workouts, and then of course, obviously we see this post, and he's like, yeah, we don't have shoes. And I'm just like, wow, it just really kind of rocked me. I was just like, we just have it so good over here. Where that's not even, that thought would never even occur to us, right? So I'm like, well, I know, we have a couple shoe fanatics in our region, and I'm like, man, I know some of these guys have, a different pair of shoes for every day of the week. I'm sure we could, get something together for these guys, and make a difference. But I do have to admit, sometimes ignorance is bliss, because I didn't really think it all the way through logistically, and what became evident rather quickly was the challenge wasn't going to be finding the shoes. The challenge really was going to be getting it to Kenya, and shipping and everything. So I did some preliminary research, and it looked expensive, but again, we have the resources. I mean, I really believe that. We have 75, 80 guys posted in our region, and we're neighbors with a couple regions, so many hands create light work. I'm like, I know there's a way we can make this happen. And so I kind of just opened it up, and got some input from other people, and there was a time where I was like, okay, this is definitely more than I expected, and maybe I bit off a little more than I could chew, but I believe that God puts us in those positions sometimes for a reason. And I felt that we have an abundance of talent and resources in our region, and so people were on board, and that's really cool when you have a funnel like that, a group of people that are really willing to get behind and champion an initiative, even if it seems harebrained and, just kind of wild, so, guys started coming up with ideas and looking into different shipping options. And we reached out to, local charities, some bigger organizations. We really exhausted a lot of different options, and we, things kind of happen for a reason. And one of the guys in our region happened to know a guy from the church, also my church, and he's been to Kenya and has some connections, and actually had something planned soon to get a big shipment over there. So it was awesome, so that came through. And since then, it's just been all right. We got to go, because the catch was it was like a week and a half to get all this together. So the guy that had the connection was like, hey, I got some good news and some bad news. Good news is we found a good option. It's going to be cost effective, and it's going to happen here. But bad news is it's like next week. So we're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So
and in typical F3 fashion, the guys showed up and showed out in the 11th hour and made it happen. But it's not just, it started off as just men's shoes, like for the guys for the workouts. But I'm hearing that's not just that. Maybe it's some shorts, some shirts, and some shoes for the village children, for the women in the village. So it's not just what started out as 6 or 8 pairs of shoes. Last I saw, how many pairs of shoes are you up to now? And what kind of stuff have you been collecting?
Yeah, we're up to over 40. And I think there's another guy that collected a bunch today too. So, I mean, we might be, close to the 50. So nice. Definitely quite a bit. We have shirts and shorts. We have shoes and all, we do have shoes pretty much in all different sizes. I've seen some cleats and, a pair of boots. I don't know how that got in the mix, but we got a pair of boots. So, and now, to your point, I saw, they do need some children's size shoes. So going to put another call out there, and hopefully, I'm very confident we'll get some of that too. And the good news about kids' shoes is they're small, right? So I think, that'll definitely help, because we could still fit more of those into this package that we're sending over there. So yeah, I'm excited about it. And just, when you see, obviously the kids without shoes on, I mean,
yeah, it's hard.
That's just like, wow, we gotta do something about it. And I know there's needs everywhere in the world, but this is one that was just right in front of my face, and just seemed like, hey, why not us?
So I know obviously there's a deadline and it's fast approaching. So this may not be a question that resonates with guys on the West Coast, for example, for this specific outreach and an opportunity. But when is the shipment going out? And the reason I ask is because is there things that you need or that you want to include in that shipment, and there's a deadline to get them to you? So I'm thinking kind of in the Southeast region, right? Guys can zip it up, drive it over, drive it down, whatever it may be to get there in time to hit the boat, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Well, you know, people have just been kind of blowing my mind, you know, like I've had times where I was worried we weren't going to get enough, you know, even to, you know, I had set a goal for 50 pairs and it looks like we're going to exceed that. And then, you know, obviously the shipping cost was a big of this challenge. So, you know, I created a GoFundMe, and, you know, the plan was to raise enough money, you know, and I really thought that this, you know, this opportunity to be on the podcast might, you know, really be a catalyst for that. But I mean, there's been some really generous donors, and, you know, we're like 90% funded with this particular shipment. But you know, I'm kind of feeling compelled to do this again, you know, and I don't know when, you know, how often, I don't know the frequency just yet, but I really feel like there's going to be an opportunity again, you know, and especially if, you know, we find out maybe that there's more need with the women and the kids that we were initially aware of. I think, you know, I could see us doing another type of a drive, you know, maybe focus more on that. So, you know, the current need, I would say we're pretty much taken care of. I mean, you know, we do have a GoFundMe, you know, so we could share that. You know, it's not at 100%, so, you know, anybody could obviously jump in there. But I do anticipate there being another opportunity.
So well, Tommy boy, I've got an idea. Let's put that in our show notes, the GoFundMe link, and let's do this. Let's I think what it costs about $500 or so to send 100 pounds. We may exceed that this go around, so that 500 may not be enough for this first shipment. So let's keep that thing open for a bit, and and if that continues and a second shipment goes out in the future, then you've got a down payment, so to speak, for the next shipment. Now, we're talking a couple months out of shipment. So this isn't something like Amazon Prime. You order it and it shows up the next day. We're talking 2 months, maybe 2.5 months before they're literally boots on the ground where they're going. But that could mean that, you know, in 3 months from now, we find out, okay, great, this was awesome. We really could use some women's clothes, some shoes, that sort of thing. Yeah. If the guys want to find out more, where should they look? Should they just keep an eye out on the Nation Slack channel for additional needs in the future? How can guys find you to support, you know, future needs that we're walking towards?
Well, I am on the Nation Slack channel, and we have obviously a channel in our region, you know, dedicated for the Kenyan effort, but I have, you know, a Twitter handle. I could definitely put that out there, but maybe we need another channel on the Nation Slack. I don't know if there's one, you know, that already kind of suits the need here, that maybe this would be just kind of funneled into. So that could be a good opportunity, but yeah, definitely I'm on the Slack Nation channel, and then, you know, Twitter would probably be another good way to get connected. And what I'll tell you is this: if and when that need arises for the next, you know, shipment or whatever, then I will definitely make that public, and we'll get the word out.
So I think, you know, you mentioned it, many hands make light work. There's a prevalent leader in the church I attend who says that all the time, and she's always spot on. So sometimes that means physical hands lifting physical objects to make that object lighter. Sometimes it means, hey, I know a guy that could help out in the situation. Would you recommend that if a guy has a logistics connection or can get these things moving faster, cheaper, whatever, same method of contact? You know, should we ping you on Slack?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's with with this network, I'm sure there's, somebody out there that has, the right connections and knows a lot more about this than I do. So that would be, incredible. Just maybe even just for, some advice, direction, moving forward, because I don't know how often this opportunity with this particular person is going to be, if they're doing this. I don't know how often at this point, but I'm assuming having more options is better than one.
Yeah, 100%. Because ideally, right, we're gonna blink, and the next township over is gonna be planting their shovel flag, right? And so the need's not gonna go away. And if we're called to invigorate male community leadership, if there's guys that need something to move a little bit faster as they accelerate or need a bigger guardrail or whatever it is, that's literally what we're called to do.
Right.
So these are great. And then kind of a follow-up question to that. Is there anything you haven't mentioned yet that would be an asset to not only this project, but the next project? Meaning, is there something, you mentioned a few things that popped up, like price. This isn't a matter of getting the materials. It's a price of, it's a matter of giving materials, finding a way to get them there. Are there other things that popped up that will help the next guy in whatever his endeavor is?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, what wall did you smack into that you want to help the next guy avoid?
Yeah, thank you. Just having like a good, I guess, plan going, when you go to the region or go to your group and kind of, being able to articulate what you're looking for and how to, kind of make it all work. I probably fumbled a little bit around in the beginning, just, okay, how are we going to do this? Or, what are we collecting? And it, maybe the message wasn't, as clear as I would have liked, but have a good plan. And then, just being specific about what you need again. And, down the road, maybe connections in industries, that are, suited for clothing, for example, or shoes, so, kind of back to your previous question, if people have connections in the, shoe fitness world, or, any type of fitness clothing. I know a lot of people might have their own business, where they make these types of clothes and gear and stuff like that. So, it would be really cool to have, some players in this, little space that, have leverage, that can do, bigger things. Because, yeah, gently used is what the ask is. But, why not new shoes? Why do we, let's not stop here. And so I think, in that sense, I really, the road hasn't necessarily been paved yet all the way here. So anybody that has some thoughts on that would be, would be welcome. And then, again, the biggest barrier really was just really understanding the shipping and because, culturally and the government situation, I don't know enough about it. I'm not an expert on, taxes and tariffs and all that stuff. So finding all that out, made it a lot easier to get this thing going.
Yeah, Tommy boy, I see something that could be future state that we haven't even thought about yet. But you know how certain cities have sister cities across the world. A city of Fort Mill might have a sister city in Russia, or maybe one day we have brother cities that are a region in the States has a brother city in another region around the world, where we support each other however we can, messaging, sending clothes, sending toys, whatever it is. This might be the future. Something, again, what started out as a group of guys working out at a middle school parking lot on New Year's Day, 11 years ago, has turned into a worldwide movement of invigorating male community leadership. This might be the first step in the door for something we haven't even dreamt of yet. Mm-hmm. And it all started with an idea, and it all started with your willingness, Poppins, to say, you know what, we should do something about it. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do something. And then the plan comes together and the support is there. So, T-claps to you, brother. I mean, you saw the need and you filled the need, and you're moving us in that right direction. This could be the catalyst for much larger things to come in the future. And I'm honored to know you, personally know you, and say, yeah, that's our Poppins that did that. Our Poppins was the one who ran point on that. So good work on it, man. Thank you for spending time with us and for stepping up.
Absolutely. No, thank you. I appreciate all that. And, it's just like anything else. You can't do this alone. And there's people that have been so instrumental in this initiative that, I can't take the credit, really. I mean, I appreciate that, but, we're a team, we're a brotherhood. And it's just like, any family, right? If you have a family member that's in need, you have, there's a compulsion there, I believe, to do something about it. And so taking the first step, yeah, I mean, that's somebody has to do that, right? But somebody has to take, the next step and the next step. And so on it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, empathy is a force of nature, right? And it's great to live in a time where empathy is getting moved to the forefront of acceleration, because, and it's been said before, the guy that you help ideally one day will turn around and help you. And part of that is what you did, which is spotting the need and stepping up and moving the ball forward, picking up the shovel and digging the next 43 feet of road. Part of that is asking for help. Our culture doesn't do well yet with asking for help because it looks like a weakness, or can be perceived as such. And, Sebastian, aka F3 Savari, just like, hey, you may notice I'm the only dude wearing a pair of kicks. We could use some extra soles on our feet here. And, that started the ball rolling. So kudos to you. I was going to ask you, why is this stuff we're trying? But between the three of us, we've already answered that question because there's a lot of needs out there, but there's also a lot of opportunities out there. Need isn't charity. It's basic human interaction. And everybody needs something. And sometimes that's a pair of shoes. And sometimes it's an invitation to come to your first F3 workout, right? So I appreciate you coming on. It's been good, although in 2 dimensions, it's been good to meet you. And I look forward to cutting it up with you in 3 dimensions here in the coming weeks, ideally. But yeah, other than that, my friend Poppins, any closing thoughts for the guy who's seeking to fill a need, or the guy who's looking to make his thumbprint note on the chemistry of F3?
Well, 2 things. First off, I do want to give some recognition to Fel. You brought him up, and that guy, he's doing an incredible job out there, and he's passionate. And, even today they're, I was kind of blown away. He says, he posted in the first, we're doing something different today. In the first hour, we're going to work out. In the second hour, we're going to go serve the community. And I'm like, so does that mean you always work out for 2 hours? I'm like, yeah, setting the bar pretty high there. And why can't we do an hour of workout, and an hour of community stuff, So that guy, he's on fire and he gets it. But I'm sorry, I got too excited about Fel. What was the second part of that question?
Yeah, I'm more curious about how the dude runs a 4-minute mile in loafers. I mean, I saw that post too, and I was like, all right, I need IPC proof on this one. But the main thing was really,
I do. Yeah, I remember. I like to operate on the 80-20 rule, and I think sometimes that even gets flipped, and it's the 20-80 rule. Like, get out there. Say something and just invite people into the process, and just kind of get out of the way. I think that's the biggest thing. I've learned that along the way, and leadership is surround yourself with people in the room that are smarter than you, and just like get out of the way. So I really think that's a critical aspect of this. But don't hesitate. Don't keep it to yourself. I mean, there's support there, I think, and with guys in the F3 community. I mean, we get it. I think if somebody steps up, they feel there's a need. I've seen it happen, numerous times in our region, and they always get the support. So don't keep it to yourself, right? Give it away.
There it is. Italian Job, any closing thoughts from you?
Yeah, man. I will share this. This was not planned for today's conversation, but it came up in yesterday with my shield lock, and Catfish, who's part of my shield lock, said this: it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't let perfect get in the way of progress. And that lines up pretty well here. Did we have a plan, Poppins? Did you know exactly how it was going to work? No, it didn't have to be perfect. And you didn't let the perfection of it has to be done a certain way to impede progress. So we'll make it work. So perfection, doesn't have to be perfect. Don't let perfect get in the way of progress. That's what I got, TB.
Amen.
I dig it. Always with a great closing thought. All right, gentlemen, thanks as always for carving out time. Poppins, good to be with you. IJ, I'm digging what we're doing, and I'm glad I get to be your wingman in this crazy plane we're building as we fly it. So, love you guys both.
You keep piloting this craft. I'll make sure that the life raft is inflated if it ever goes down.
Deal. All right, gentlemen, F3 Nation, be good at it. We'll see you next week.
Take it easy, fellas.